Hi, I'm Bonnie Faust, and I'm here because I would like to help you learn to cope with this amazing, wonderful, scary, fantastic, terrifying, overwhelming world that we have. And I was able to learn to cope when I started to create order in my personal environment. And by doing that, I saw the world in a different light. I'm a teacher, and we teach in schools many things. We give you information on all kinds of subjects. But I really feel we're lacking when it comes to the social, emotional aspect of our world. We don't give you skills for that. And so I'm here to right that wrong, because I think it's so important that we learn about the social, emotional skills. Social, emotional has to do with how we view ourselves as well as how we view others. It involves our relationships. And relationships are pretty much what our life is all about. It all rotates around relationships. So I am going to share with you some things today that will help your relationships, that will improve your relationships. Now you have to implement these ideas, and they're very simple ideas, but that doesn't mean they're not important. So let's get started. First of all, we're going to talk about engaged listening. Now, one of the first things that we need with engaged listening is eye contact. Okay, I know you've heard this before, but it's important. In fact, it's very important. It's so important that let me tell you a story. When my son was 3 years old, I was washing the dishes, looking out the window. He comes running in from the backyard. He's so excited, and he's telling me what's happening out there. And I'm listening to him. I'm washing the dishes, but I'm looking straight ahead out the window. And so he's talking, and pretty soon he stops. He stomps his foot, and he yanks on my pants, and he says, "Mom, look at me." What's interesting is that 3-year-old knew that for him to feel engaged and listened to, I needed to look at him. Okay, so we know that that's important. If we want people to know that we really are concerned about them, we give them eye contact. Now, on the other hand, quite a few years ago, there was a book called He Said, She Said. And in this book, they did some research about the differences between males and females. And they did a part on communication. And so what they did is they had 3 groups of children. They had 3 groups of girls, 3 groups of boys. And in each group, there were 2 children. They had a group of 5-year-olds, a group of 10-year-olds, and a group of 15-year-olds. So what was interesting is what the whole point was. They were going to tell the kids to take their chairs and go sit into the room, and we'll be with you in a minute to talk with you. They just really wanted to see how the kids put their chairs. So the girls, they would walk in, and the two 5-year-old girls took their chairs, walked in, and they sat with knees to knees, and they talked face to face. Now, the 5-year-old girls did the same thing, and the 15-year-old girls did the same thing. Sat their chairs knee to knee, and they talked face to face. But when the boys went in, the 2 5-year-old boys took their chairs, and they sat side by side and looked forward and talked. What was really interesting is that the 10-year-old boys did the same thing, and the 15-year-old boys did the same thing. So when the researchers are reviewing this video, the female researchers who were watching the video on the boys said, they're not communicating. They're not looking at each other. And the men, with the male researchers, said, yes, they are communicating. So they found out a very interesting thing. Men don't need that eye contact as much as women do. And not all women need it, but many women do need that eye contact. It makes them feel validated. Makes that you're interested, you're listening to me, I'm important, and what I have to say is important. So this can work to our advantage. So men, the next time you have a woman in your life, female, and whether she be young or whether she be older, it doesn't matter, stop, put down whatever you're doing, and look at her. And that will just validate her something amazingly. And you will get so many kudos for that. That is so great because you're taking the time to look at her. Now women, on the other hand, don't expect your husbands or your partners or men in your world to always put their stuff down and look at you, whatever they were doing, because that's not what they need. So you have to understand that as well. It's interesting, several years ago I was doing a seminar at a hospital, and after we had just talked about this research, a lady came up to me during break, And she said, I am so glad you told me this. She said, a week ago, I had to tell my husband that I had cancer. And she said, when I brought it up to him, he turned and he stared at the corner of the kitchen. And she said, he never looked at me. She said, I didn't think he cared about me. I didn't think I was important. I didn't think he loved me. Even after all these years, I wasn't sure about all of this. And now she realizes that that's how he had to focus and how he had to cope with this information. So we have to be careful and we have to know this information, but truly, truly, when you want to validate somebody, give them some eye contact, and really, especially women, and really make them feel that they're important. So that was one piece of engaged listening. Now, another part of this is the level at which we are. So if somebody is talking to you and you are giving them eye contact, and if they're standing, you need to stand. If they're sitting, you need to sit. That level is pretty important because otherwise it's a power play, and we don't need to get that into the whole play of it when we're talking and we're trying to communicate with people that are important to us. Now, we do this automatically. If there's a little child who is having a problem or wants to say something to us, we get down on their level. But now we need to do that and bring that into our consciousness so that we can do that all around. So you have eye contact and getting onto another person's level. The other part of this, which is really important, is watch your facial expression. Now that's hard, but when somebody is talking to you, are you looking interested? Or are you looking bored? Or are you looking really angry? You know, it's really hard to know what we look like. In fact, I just watched the show Lincoln, and it was amazing. And there's a part where Mrs. Lincoln is in a reception line, and she's visiting with some of the members of the House. And she says something to the effect to one member of, it's okay, you can go ahead and smile. And he says something to the effect of, I thought I was smiling. But he didn't know that he wasn't. And sometimes we don't know that we aren't. So take a few minutes, go into the mirror and see what a smile really looks like when you think you're smiling. Are you really smiling? What does that feel like? What does it look like when you're concentrating, when it looks like you're interested? Are all of these things helping your communication, or are they shutting him down? Are people thinking they don't want to, the guy doesn't want to hear me, she doesn't want to hear me, whatever, because of your face? So be aware of that facial expression. The other part of relationships that I wanted to share is about apologizing, about saying you're sorry. Now I know it's very difficult for some people to apologize because for them it's a sign of weakness. It's a sign of loss of power. But I want you to think about that in a different way, because actually when you apologize to someone, you're honoring them and you're letting your humanness show. And I think that's really important. We all have this humanness, and we need to let everyone know that it's all right to be human and to make a mistake, because we all make them. So I know it's difficult sometimes, but when you do make a mistake, just let that person know and say you're sorry. In fact, years ago, my daughter, I timed her out because I thought she had done something inappropriate. I find out later that she hadn't done that, and this really bothered me. I had a good friend who called me up and said, Bonnie, how's your day going? And I said, not very well. I said, I had Katie in timeout and she didn't do it, and and I'm really concerned. And the woman simply said, well, tell her you're sorry. And boy, that stopped me in my tracks, because I was over 30 at that time. And no adult, when I was a child, no adult ever apologized to me for anything, no matter how bad something was. So it wasn't even in my world to think about that. So when she said that, it opened a door to me. It's like, oh, I guess I can apologize. So it really helped a lot with that relationship with my daughter, and we're still working on it. Of course, relationships are always worked on. But that apologizing and admitting that you are wrong is just an amazing thing when it comes to relationships. So see if you can do that the next time. And there's one more bit of information I wanted to share, and that is about Q-tipping things. And Q-tip stands for quit taking it personally. And we all need to start to do that, because so much of our energy is wasted and in worry. In worrying about, did I say something wrong? Did I do something wrong? Did I make somebody angry? Why didn't they say hi to me? What's going on? You put so much energy into this worrying, when in reality, most of the time it has nothing to do with us. It really doesn't. The world doesn't revolve around us. It has something to do with that other person and how their day is going and what is happening in their world. It's not always about you, as it's not always about me. So if you can Q-tip it, quit taking it personally, you free yourself up of a lot more energy to deal with your world. Try not to worry about what everyone is thinking or saying or doing, because it isn't always about you. So this is Bonnie Faust, and I just wanted to share some coping skills with you so that you can create order in your personal environment. And I know I spoke quickly and there's so much to share with you, but I will be back. So for now, good night and thank you.